I would think of a higher power as everything has a higher meaning, but it's not like a named like figure, which this one we did put a name to because like humans can only conceptualize like things that we name out, which is kind of why people have religions and
Yeah,
gods
that is
and
wild. Besides that song, do you take a lot of those ideas? You're also, very interested in philosophy and stuff like that. Do you take those type of ideas and write around them a lot? Is that kind of like what you guys kind of strive for? Because even like it's Genesis, like first book in the Bible,
We kind of chose that because it was like it's also a first album, so it's like
yeah.
the beginning, like that's like
Yeah.
But go ahead.
In the beginning, there was music. No, I'm just kidding.
Dubstep in the beginning. There was dubstep.
Nimbvs, welcome to the Underground Society podcast. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, welcome. I wanted to start off. You guys are both from Florida, right?
Yeah.
How long have you guys known each other? Let's just start there, because I know you guys are a duo, and I know that there's usually the relationship before the music comes. So how did you guys just meet each other and become friends first?
So we met in 2020. We worked at a summer camp together, actually.
Nice. Which summer camp?
It's called Camp Immokalee. It's a Y camp. We worked at the Y forever. I still work a little bit. He does not anymore.
Cool. I know Andrew, right, went to school for music, and Alex, you didn't?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's the guy for sure.
What was the, like, where did that start? Where did you go first of all? And what did you actually, like, major in?
I was in the College of Music at Florida State.
Okay.
And I started out as a music education major, and then I moved to general music. And then I actually left the College of Music at like near the end of my sophomore year, when like right before COVID hit. I was like in the process of switching my major to criminology. But yeah, I did 2 years in the College of Music at Florida State, but I've been playing instruments since I was like, I think I started in 6th grade. I was like a percussionist, and then I moved over to tuba, and then I pretty much like played all of the low brass instruments all throughout high school.
Okay.
And then was on the drum line in high school. So that really helped a lot. Like, obviously it helped a lot with like my sense of time and like.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Knowing music theory, I mean, I don't know a lot. Like, there are some people out there that are just absolutely wicked. Like, I know pretty much just a little bit more than the absolute basics of music theory. And I feel like it's like honestly given us like such an advantage already. And like, there are people that are even in the EDM industry that know obviously way more, and they're just like that much more ahead just because music theory is like
the basis.
It's important. Like, it's important.
What do you think about people who don't know that, who are still, trying their hand at producing?
I get it. Like, it can work. Like, it's just you can do it without knowing music theory. Like, it's not a requirement, but like it definitely makes it harder for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like unless there's no melody and it's just kind of like a techno thing, usually it goes for
like 4 on the floor type rhythm.
There's people that play guitar don't know music theory, but like they know it, they just don't know the terminology. Like, they know how music works, they have the ear training, even like there's a lot of people that play instruments that might not know it. So I feel like if you're making melodies and stuff and you're really good at it, you have a feel for how music should work, even if you don't know music theory. Like, it's important to like be able to have some type of,
Yeah. So do you know music theory, or what's your background with music?
Barely any, like the basics. I mean, like I know the notes and how they, like, in the order they go in. I'm trying to learn how to play guitar right now, but like, so I know, like,
and I tried that. It was so fucking hard, man. Guitar was hard for me.
His like courses he took, that's how much I know, probably, like the basics, the like major, minor, triads, and all, like the bare bones.
You didn't finish college, did you? You said you went only 2 years.
So I did 2 years in the College of Music, and then I did like 3 more years of criminology, and
Oh,
then
right.
so I have like 11 classes left, but no, I haven't
Haven't
finished.
finished. Are you actively going?
No.
Oh, okay. Got it. What's your college experience?
I graduate in May.
Okay.
History.
With what?
History.
History?
Yeah,
What?
minor in
Why
yeah.
history?
Like, well, the EDM thing I wasn't really into until I was like
Right.
already in college, actually. But I've always just been interested in it, and I just wanted to do something that wasn't science or math.
Got it. Got it. What would you hope to do with that degree?
Well, I'm probably gonna teach for a couple years. I mean, the
Got it.
goal for us is like to do music full time
Right.
one day, but like I've worked at the Y forever. I'm a substitute teacher right now. Like I
Okay.
love leadership and kids and teaching and all that. So like I like history a lot, so it was just easy. And I minored in leadership because that's also an interest. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever see yourself doing, since you're getting into teaching, do you ever see yourself maybe teaching music one day? Or an aspect of music,
That would
whatever your
be,
strengths are?
if anything, like I mean, I don't feel entirely qualified yet, but if anything, it would be marketing, like the business stuff,
Right.
because that's the half that I usually
And
do.
that's where
And
I wanted to get to too, because I know you guys are a DJ duo,
yeah,
but
Yeah.
now that you just clarified kind of what your roles are to a certain degree, we'll get into more of that. But what, I guess, why did you guys decide on the DJ duo producer duo instead of one person taking on the manager role and one person taking on the artist role?
so it started out that way.
Okay.
And it's not like I don't have any involvement or say in the music, but he's better at it.
Right. I'm sure you're right.
Yeah. And I still help him DJ when we play. Like I still do that. I give him I like come up with ideas. I'm actively involved in that process and all
So
that.
you enjoyed the music side of it. He's just more further along than you,
Yeah,
so
he's just,
that's why you brought it. Okay.
and so I don't know. It ended up just working out that way, and it's almost like, maybe not per se like manager role, because I could see us having a manager per se one day, and I would over like the marketing and content and like vision and all
Right.
that.
Well, it's
Basically.
important. I feel like it's important for the artists you have.
Yeah.
Like, even if you guys were a single artist, like it's important for the artist to know how everything runs. You're the business owner. Like the manager is just, it's like hiring a manager for your company. So you got to know how everything works as far as the business side and luckily for you guys, one of you is stronger in the business side, one of you is stronger in music. So it complements each other really well.
Yeah. We kind of came to that like final realization. Man, it was like right at the end of 2022, we had just played at the Vanguard for Adventure Club,
Oh, nice.
and how we used to do things was we were like both doing everything. Like we were both producing, and we were both like actively we were both producing, and both doing the business side of stuff. And then like slowly it kind of drifted towards like, okay, I'm doing like more and more of the production, and he's doing more and more of the business stuff. So after our Adventure Club show, I was like, I had already been thinking about it for a few months, and I was
Mhm.
like I don't know how to say this. And so I finally, like, one day I was like, I have to say something,
Yeah.
because this is what we're trying to be successful in this, and could be a way we do it. So I texted him. I was like, hey, why don't I take care of everything music wise? Like I'll make all the music, I'll write all the DJ sets, and then we'll DJ like how Slander DJs, where one of them is always at the mixer, which would be me, and then the other is like going around loading everything and still pressing play. And
Playing
like
an
that's
active role.
just as important
Absolutely.
like as actually mixing the
Yeah.
song, because like it's not going to get mixed if it doesn't get
Yep.
pressed on. So
It's just like flowed better that way too, because instead of us like taking turns DJing.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, because I see
Yeah.
other duos who kind of have this, have the same kind of technique like Slander has their technique, but then there's also other people who do like almost like a back-to-back type style when they play.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like Turning
Yeah.
Steam does that. I know that for sure.
Yeah. Which is a cool idea. It just depends on
We
what
like
works.
to do fast transitions too, and like I'll play a lot of songs, and that makes it really possible for him to mix a bunch of stuff really fast if I can load it all. And then if we're not coming up with like separate chunks for our set, like if he's coming up with the set, showing me how it's going to go, and then I'm just like pressing play, then the set, our live sets ended up just like way more coherent because it wasn't two of us like that, which is like for other people, they might be so in tune that they just like do the same stuff and follow one genre the whole way. But because we kind of do multi-genre too in our set, like it didn't have a coherent story. And also the music sometimes didn't have a coherent story, because two of us were like sometimes going in different directions.
Yeah.
So it just made more sense for like, you know, and it also kind of naturally evolved that way. Like if we were to start off like that, yeah, I probably would have just like been his manager, but because it just naturally drifted into like, I like, and
Yeah,
I
you
feel
like it. Yeah.
I have more time to focus on content and stuff too, because
You
like,
have the other
I'm
person
not
there.
managing 4 people. It's like 50% and I'm a half owner in it. And like,
Right.
so I spend all my time doing that.
Sounds like you have a very similar brain to me, where like we do like art, but we also really like business. Like, and being in a creative business is like really fun because you get to kind of exercise both. For you, do you also help him with the business side of things too? Is there kind of both 50-50 there, or?
I feel like it's like 85-15 in both directions, and most of it's like idea wise. Like I don't do much execution. I never really touch the music, but I like will come up with ideas and listen to stuff and get feedback, and he'll kind of do the same. But it's a little, I guess, I don't know. He does make some content and do some of that stuff too, though.
And
Yeah.
I pretty much like I trust him with everything that we exist in financially and like
Right.
all of that stuff. I'm like, you got it, bro. Like, because he loves that stuff, and I'm so down with it because he loves all the business side of shit, and I am not a big fan of it, and I just get to sit here like in my little creative world and not have to worry about
Not to think about it at all. Yeah.
I know he's got it handled. So like
Do you have interest in like getting more involved, or is it kind of just like, no, I really just don't
know.
do
I like letting him handle it. Like I'm cool with it. Like it's been the way it is for, nothing bad has happened, knock on wood.
Yeah, right. I'll do that for you.
But yeah, no, I'm like, I trust him with everything, and like because we have a plan for 10 years down the road, and like
right. What does that look like 10 years from now? And does it align? Kind of, do your guys' visions align, or do you guys have any struggle with kind of the direction of where you guys wanted to go at all?
Yeah, no. So that's actually the best part about this, is that we are like both totally like on the same page with where we want to be in the next 10
That's
years.
great. Yeah, because otherwise it's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. So
getting into business with someone is kind of like a marriage. Like if you guys aren't going in the same direction, you guys are just going, you're going to grow apart. So
we are like right here on the direction of the project, and we have hopefully, if everything goes the way we want it to, we really want to dive super deep into cinematic bass and just making all kinds of
Swarm, Apache, that kind of style.
Making all kinds of music, like not being limited to any genre. Like I just want to make everything. Like I've been delving into deep house and making like cinematic deep house, and it's like it's been
cool.
So much fun.
What do you guys like when you guys first met each other? What did you guys admire about each other, and why do you think that it worked? Did it just kind of like glue? You guys just became friends, and it was just it worked. I mean, why did you guys trust each other initially to kind of quote unquote go into business together with this project?
Well, I mean, in a lot of ways we're different, but one way we're really similar is we both have like really bad ADHD that we both struggle with.
Same.
So that like we also, it just like kind of, it wasn't necessarily like sought out. It kind of happened, naturally. Where the first week we worked at that camp, we ended up working with the same, like in the same cabin with the same kids. So like, and we didn't, and I like knew a lot of other people there, but we had never met, and
Were
we
you guys
both.
both interested in EDM at that time?
Actually, no, I wasn't.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I
I
was, and he
so
was not.
so
interesting.
I had my old school dubstep phase like we all did back in middle school. Like
Right, right.
so on to Skrillex
Dead
and
Mouse
all.
5. Yeah.
Exactly right. And then I kind of left it. This is I think this is actually what took me out of like listening to any dubstep was I can't believe this is what made it happen, but I was in like algebra in 11th grade and I like went to put in my headphones to like listen to my music and I guess my volume was like already at like all the way as loud as it can
Oh
go.
yeah.
Yeah, it started blasting Excision.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of class and it was dead quiet. Like you could have heard a fart in there. Like it was so and Excision just started blasting. Everybody looked at me and was like, what the fuck is that? I was like, oh my God, I'm literally never listening to EDM again. And then so I was super heavy into rap for a long, long, long time, even while I was a EDM fan. So I just went into just all rap. And then because he like he said, he was my first co-counselor ever at that camp. Because I went there knowing like I think I only knew one person there. So we like met during staff training, obviously, and then we kind of clicked because we also both played lacrosse in high school. So we were like already bonding over that. And then we had a cabin together, and he started playing. He actually played. It was the trampoline Jaws remix.
Oh yeah,
He
we
was
played
like,
that for our kids.
Dude, such a good song.
We played it for our kids like every single morning, and I was like, dang, I'm kind of vibing with this. And then we would leave for the weekends to go to his apartment. Like half the staff would go, and we'd all just get like hammered at his apartment. And on like an hour drive there, like he was, just blasting dubstep, and I'm like, okay, I'm like kind of fucking with this again. I didn't really have anywhere to go, so most of the people that worked at that camp lived here in Jacksonville, and one of my friends. Wesley said I could come stay with him and his mom until I like got on my feet, and so I moved to Jacksonville and then got a job where he worked at the Y.
Right.
And then like I think it was like 3 weeks after I started working there, he texted me and he goes, "What's your knowledge on music theory?" And I was like, I mean I did it at one of the top colleges of music in the United States for a couple of years, so I'd say it's pretty good. And he's like, okay, the music side, like the music theory side, like I know the industry and the culture. Like, do you want to like be serious and do this as like a DJ and production duo and like actually try to like make it work,
make it happen? Yeah.
Now it's like, yeah, fuck it,
Sure.
I'm down. Go.
So then where did you get your industry knowledge, and where did you kind of get your foot in the door then?
It really wasn't industry knowledge. I don't know if that's exactly what I said or if I did.
Something along the lines of
I just was like into the music more.
Okay.
So like, I went to raves and stuff. Like,
so you're like kind of plugged into the local scene.
More industry knowledge because I went to festivals, not because I actually had any, but because he didn't even listen to it much at the time. He hadn't really gone to any, and so I like knew about all the music, and he knew how to actually make music. So I wanted to get into DJing, and we had already been practicing with a board together, and I was like, dang, this is really hard to learn. It'd be cool if I like made a duo with him and he helped teach me how to do it. And then so he taught me the music theory stuff, and then we were both kind of producing and on like I would say for a while similar levels, but then once he kind of like figured out producing, then he ended up being really good at it because he already knew the music theory. So it just like, and eventually I just like started getting kind of obsessed on like, marketing, music marketing and business YouTube, like for a little bit. And so just
On that
naturally,
Gary V grind.
a little bit, not really.
Alex Hormozy, that's
Yeah.
who he was.
But like lots of that's just general business, but lots of music marketing people too. Like, I just like got down that YouTube rabbit hole and then ended up de facto like caring more and being more interested in the content and making it. And then just naturally we ended up like we had conversations about it eventually, but by the time we talked about it out loud and decided also that our live sets we should both be involved the whole time in different ways. By the time we talked about that, it was a really hard split, and like I would mess around with production still, but I like wasn't passionate about it much anymore, and he was even more passionate about that than he had before, and so it just like worked out.
Yeah. I was gonna comment. You were just talking about the content that you guys started to create, and you guys actually have made some really like funny TikToks or reels or whatever. Like your guys' content is actually really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I looked at some of your older stuff. I knew it took some time, trial and error and time to kind of find your footing. But like the newer stuff is actually really good.
I'm so much more prouder of the newer content, but it is doing so much worse.
Yeah.
We had videos sitting in our car with like one little caption above like 2 years ago that got like 30,000 views. Now we can barely break 500 on like a
Dude,
3-hour edit. That is like
the algorithm has changed a lot. I remember there was a time where like even the clips that I post for the podcast would get like easily like 400, 500 on every single one every week. And now it's just, it tanks sometimes. So I think it's just changed. Like, you have to make stuff because there's so much of a database now since they've released reels. It's hard to compete.
Yeah.
It's also like, and Instagram hasn't been as like, because they're still a little behind on and then reels are still a little newer to them than TikToks are for TikToks. So we still get a little like on stuff that won't do well on TikTok now that necessarily would have done well on it a year or two ago. Sometimes it'll still do really good on Instagram, and that, so we still been like honestly better now on Instagram than before, but way worse on TikTok because I think the platform grew up, it matured. So I think we saw that back in 2012 with Facebook and Instagram for like the dubstep DJs that are headlining festivals now, like some like Excision being one of them, a lot of other people, like they got really like, I don't want to say easy engagement, but it was a lot easier to get engaged on Facebook because it was a new platform, and I think TikTok's like
it was a newer genre too.
Yeah.
Have you guys been hearing all the stuff about the Congress trying to ban TikTok from the US?
Yeah.
What are your opinions on that?
I mean, I'm not a big fan of giving the government that much control over internet, but especially the one that we have now. But I mean, I don't think it would really change as much as people think it would for the music industry because people are just gonna on whatever platform.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I also feel like people, I don't know, I've talked to a lot of maybe the people that have a little bit bigger names. I mean, they're going to do well on any platform really, but I know for some of the younger people, like it's been hard for people in the music industry to like make moves on TikTok sometimes. Like it either people get lucky and their stuff works, or if their really good personality kind of goes along with their project, they'll do well. But if you're just, it's hard to make content that we normally see on Instagram in the music industry from DJs. It doesn't those types of things don't tend to perform as well in TikTok, from what I've seen at least. So,
I mean, we haven't. TikTok's been rough. I mean, we haven't had, we've had one video, I believe, that had over 1,000 views in the last
like
I don't even know,
to a year, 6 months to a year.
Yeah. And then people are talking, I got a million followers in like 2 days. I'm like, how did that even happen? I get like 500 plays when I post things on TikTok.
We got our 3,000 in the span of like 6 months. Like
Yeah,
a
with the
year and a
laser
half
beam
ago, and
there.
it
Yeah,
stayed.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of happens like that. I'm sure, like the grow to 10,000 won't be slowly over time, or it will be a kind of, but I'm sure that'll happen. Like there'll be 2 years where we don't get anything, and then it'll just spike again. And
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Unless
the
it gets
laser,
banned and then we never get to use it again.
Yeah,
the laser beam it was our first little pop that we
Yeah.
Yeah.
had.
I wanted to ask about the meaning of Nimbus. All I know about what a Nimbus is the cloud, but I don't know if that's accurate for your guys' name.
Alex.
So when we first kind of came up with the name, it was talking about a nimbus is also the halo that's like above Angel's head. It's like there. And
Why did I not know that?
When we first came up with it, it was just a really cool name. But then we've just, I mean, I'm really into philosophy and stuff, so we've kind of just taken it down like a really like we'll make some like references to religious works and some just like general philosophical stuff. Just I don't know, meaning of life. Like that's our brand is essentially we say like the human condition. So we just talk about a lot
What
of
what is the human condition? If you were to put it into words,
it. That's tough.
I'd say it's probably something close to like the full spectrum of like emotions and feeling, like every single possible emotion like you could possibly have, just all in one spectrum. And I feel like that sort of kind of embodies the human condition.
yeah. I've also heard like we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yeah.
Like if that makes sense. Yeah, and it kind of like relating that to like creativity, like and having that spiritual connection. Are you guys just religious at all?
I am not.
Okay. You are? Okay. What are you, Christian or?
Yeah, I'm Christian.
Okay, cool. So am I. So what does that look like for you? Or how have you remained, because I know there's a lot of challenges when it comes to the EDM industry, and whenever a Christian comes on the podcast, I always have to ask this question, but how have you remained like a good Christian while also like facing some of the dark side of the EDM world?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I have similar struggles, so please be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I definitely, haven't been the best, but when I actually, recently, like not super recently, but about a year ago, I'd say I kind of started really believing in God. Nice. Because like I was like going through such a difficult time in my life. Like I literally moved like packed up my entire life and had to move like 4 times within the span of a year.
Oh,
and,
that's rough.
I slept on his couch for like 3 months, and it was just like every single time things felt like, okay, maybe things are starting to slow down, it would just go straight to hell. All over again. And like every single time I came out on the other side and I was like fine, and I was like, okay, there's like
something bigger than me that's like, helping me through this. Yeah.
This is a coincidence anymore. And so, I started going to church a lot with my friend.
Were you raised Christian?
No, I was not.
No, okay. Interesting.
And I was.
Interesting.
My grandma, she was a Catholic. My dad went to Catholic school, and we went to church for a little while, actually, when I was like really young, like 3 and 4 years old. And then I just stopped going one day. Like my grandma stopped taking me or something.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a huge fan of it anyway, but we just
especially I was raised both. My parents were divorced, so Catholic on my dad's side and like Protestant on my mom's side. So I kind of grew up knowing both. I'm more Protestant now, but yeah, Catholicism, I don't know. I guess is a reason why I'm more Protestant now. It's Catholicism seems very not only traditional but like repetitive. Like I didn't feel like I was getting anything from attending church. So especially for our generation, it's hard to, unless you are more of like a really hardcore traditional person, it's hard to like get what you're expecting to get from church from the Catholic practice, I guess. So it makes sense why like you're like, I didn't really like that. I didn't really like it either.
I actually I went to a midnight mass a couple of years ago in a Catholic church.
Okay, yeah. For Christmas or?
Yeah, it was Christmas.
Yeah.
I was with my ex-girlfriend, and I wasn't religious at the time, but her family was pretty religious, but they were Christian, but they wanted to go to this Catholic church for some reason. And she was like begging me to go. And I was like, I really do not want to go. But she was like, please go. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I went, and it was like the weirdest experience of my life. Like, not any hate, like on people that are but like it was just honestly eye-opening, because I hadn't really been to a church like at all literally like the last time I was in a church before I went into that Catholic church, I think I was 4 years old.
Oh boy.
I was like 22 when I went into this Catholic church. So I was like, what is going on? This is not what I remember at all.
You're more Protestant now? What, you started going to church more? Are you still practicing? Are you still like going as hard as you were? Or?
No, I definitely have laxed off just because my job has gotten a lot busier.
Dude, I feel that.
This has gotten easier. Like I still believe in God, and I do want to start going back to church, but like I just am like,
life gets busy sometimes, man. We're not always 100%. Like
I work 40 hours a week, and then also like
with music.
So like it's like it's tough to like, I need some time like for myself, and
absolutely
have for myself was when I would have to be going to church, and I'm like, I've already had such a long and exhausting week, like I'm staying home.
Can I ask why you were raised Christian but now are not, and then we'll move on.
I mean, they're like, my parents are Christians that, go to church on Christmas and Easter, and they'd have like swings of like, that maybe that had something to do with it, really, honestly, is they would have like 2 years at a time where they'd be like, we have to go to church, and they'd make me go to church, and then
it wasn't like
when I was a kid, and it would happen all of a sudden, and then they'd like stop caring, and then
it's a different thing when your parents are like every Sunday type people and like Bible study type people like my parents were, where it's like kind of just your lifestyle that you grew up in versus like, we only go on like every couple times a year or whatever. It's a much different thing. So
and I don't know. I've always kind of like questioned a lot of stuff and probably gone the opposite of my parents in a lot of, I don't know. I've always been really questioning of everything, and just like it happened really early on, but I've evolved a little bit, because I think by the age of 8, I was probably like, I probably would have said I was an atheist, but now I would say maybe deist is the word, because I think I do believe in something like something greater. Like I just don't know for sure enough to say it's one religion or another.
Right.
About which God it is, or
I was there for a really long time when I was in the process of like deciding for myself. It was like, I went through the same thing where I was like, as a young kid, you're like, oh, this is just the facts. This is what my parents and family do. This is just how we live our life, and going to church, blah, 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 blah. Then you get hit to a certain point where you're an adult, and it's up to you to make that decision whether you want to or not. And I definitely went through like probably a good 8-year period there where I was just like, I don't know. I like and I went to like a Buddhist church, and I went to like a couple other churches too. And I was like, I kind of see what they're talking, like their religion makes sense. And I had a very open mind, but I know what you mean by like, I don't know which one is right or which one I, can follow, or
honestly,
so I know what you mean.
Like, this sounds like I'm like shilling our project and like trying to wrap it back in, but the way I would think higher power is honestly the way we crafted Nim for the album. And like, I'm not even trying to just like promote our project right now.
Yeah. But we're actually going to get into the album in a second. So this is perfect.
we have her say like, essentially, well, her it doesn't really have a gender because it's a higher deity that like represents all humans is the kind of what it is assume, but they say that they represent the ego and soul of everyone, in the universe, every soul and every ego in the universe. And basically that's how like I would think of a higher power is everything has a higher meaning, but it's not like a named like figure, which this one we did put a name to because like humans can only conceptualize like
Mm.
things that we name out, which is kind of why people have religions
Yeah,
and
that
gods
is
and stuff.
wild.
But the
Yeah.
way we talk, like the way we have her talk or they talk in the album, the voice sounds female. That's why we call it.
Yeah.
Really, we were thinking of it as a they, like as a just a as an it, as like
Entity.
an entity, spiritual being.
Besides that song, do you take a lot of those ideas? You're also, very interested in philosophy and stuff like that. Do you take those type of ideas and write around them a lot? Is that kind of like what you guys kind of strive for? Because even like it's Genesis, like first
Yeah, the
first
Yeah.
book in the
intro-
Bible, you know?
We kind of chose that because it was like it's also a first album, so it's like
No, yeah.
the beginning, like that's like
Yeah.
But go ahead.
In the beginning, there was music. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No dubstep in the beginning. There was dubstep.
No, but typically when I'm like making music, when I get on a roll, I just like it's just like I'll have an idea and I'm like, dang, this would sound good. And then I just like put something in Ableton and I just like start going a little bit and then I'll just like catch fire and then it'll be done in like 3 hours. And then
Flow
like
state.
it'll be like mostly done and then I'll take like the next like 3 or 4 days like really nitpicking at everything and then like solidifying the concept of the song.
Mm.
And I feel like that's kind of how the creative process goes for me as well as a lot of people, honestly. Like
Yeah, for sure.
we kind of call it going God mode. Like whenever you're just on a roll and you're just like you feel like the greatest producer of all time.
Yeah, it's just flowing through you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going and you're on God mode.
I like that. You're on God mode. I wanted to ask you guys about your branding too. So obviously we just talked a lot about like Nimbvs and what that meant and everything like that. But what would you guys say is like the general concept of the Nimbvs brand?
I like to think of brand as reputation per se. So it's like what people know you. It's what people know you by, and it's not always. You want to try to use words that like people, and then like do the actions that people will actually relate to you. But if your brand isn't just what you say, it's actually like a lot of what you do. Like Nike, you think of Nike, you think of the things they tell you, like just do it, the swoosh. But also like the first thing you probably think of is like they make these kind of shoes. Like you have an image of what their ads feel like, what their brand like. It's their reputation is what you should do. So it's like, I guess the best way to describe what I would hope people think of and what we're probably striving towards, but maybe they don't think of this yet, but is like the words, cinematic, but also
Okay.
EM, bass music, taking inspiration from orchestral film scores. Like
Okay.
Hans Zimmer would be the
Yeah.
inspiration on that side. Like,
Definitely.
so yeah, I guess the stuff he makes kind of, it's kind of going for like a Hans Zimmer with like whatever kind of EDM we're liking at the time, like basically made a song together is like what I think
Okay.
he was for a lot.
Yeah.
What do you guys visually want a part of the brand?
See, that's a good question because I think we're like still figuring that
Still trying to
out.
figure that out.
We're really I think we're getting a lot closer, and I think we've figured out a lot in the last few months.
Mm.
But that's something we wanted to like put a lot of effort into, like making it all cohesive and this year. Like we've thought about since 2022, like it being a kind of cinematic brand and the human condition and stuff, but we wanted to actually like put that all out there and like make it one coherent brand this year. So we're working on that a lot.
Dope.
Right now.
Yeah. what I guess what showed you guys that you needed to? Let me ask this first. With the music that you guys make, being that you make so many different genres, has it been hard to make a project that is cohesive? Have you guys struggled with that? And how have you guys kind of, I guess, overcame that?
Honestly, I feel like it's been our identity for so long that we just like make and play everything, that I feel like the the variety and like the fact that you never really know what you're gonna get with a Nimbus song has like become our like identity.
Right. Okay.
And honestly, like I contribute a lot of the reason why I make so many different genres to my ADHD. I'm just like
You're
all
right.
over the place
Yeah.
and like, what types of music, like what types of because pretty much all I listen to is EDM, and I literally in my Spotify have like a like bunch of separate different playlists of just different vibes of music. Like it go anywhere from like I have a house playlist, like an experimental bass playlist, a future bass playlist, dubstep, like Odessa, like
All over the
Alexa.
place.
It's just there's just everything for like every vibe, and I'm all over the place constantly listening to different playlists, so naturally I constantly want to be making different kinds of music. And honestly, I feel like incorporating all those different styles into like one cinematic like experience is like kind of what I've blossomed into doing, like almost unintentionally.
Yeah, I think it was inevitable because forever it was impossible for whether it's recently when it's just him making music or even when I was making music too. Like we never were able to stick to one genre. Like we
Yeah.
always liked everything.
Yeah.
And so the cinematic thing I think is a way to like focus our
Bridge it.
brand on one sound
Right.
without having
I-
to stick to one specific EDM genre and do one
Right.
like we're trying to make a sound without having to do the same thing over and
Specific.
over.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because why I was asking that is basically just because you see a company, you see, artist project or whatever, you see the riches are in the niches, right? You want to be as targeted and it's precise, especially in the early days about your project. So that's why I guess what I was trying to get to the bottom of, and you just answered that for me, was like the brand idea is, like you said, cinematic. And instead of, I guess, focusing on the music, focusing on the brand or the feel or the reputation, like you said a few minutes ago, rather than focusing on like the specific sound. That makes sense. In your opinion, how important was that to figure out like what you wanted to focus on and what you wanted to be cohesive about? And why is it so important for you guys to be cohesive?
Well, so actually when we were starting out, we oh man, we went through we were in a constant state of identity crisis for like, I swear,
Yeah.
it was like,
I'm sure that's even harder with two people too.
yeah, it was like 6 months.
Yeah.
Like we had
Yeah.
no idea what we wanted to do. Like it was, we were lifeguards together, and every time we would work together, he would like come and rotate me off the lifeguard stand, and he's like, what if like we made like like mid-tempo stuff? We were just like and I'm just like all about it because I don't know shit.
Yeah.
Anything. So I'm just like
yeah.
down for whatever. I'm like, dude, let's do it.
Like two, and it was, you said it was harder because it was two people. Absolutely. Because like now I think we both like everything or go through phases of everything. But like at the time, we both kind of only liked bass music. Like we weren't into house and stuff yet. And also I liked all the like super melodic sad shit, and he listened to like
only
sudden
I was like, my main like music streaming source was SoundCloud, and I was like crate digging.
Oh yeah.
I was realizing it. I was crate digging, where you like press play on a song, and then like you just let it
play. Yeah.
and it just goes. That's all I did for like an entire year, and I was just straight like tear out right in your face. I've since rescinded that card, but
Now you like other stuff. It's good.
I mean, like, well, I still like tear out. Like, I mean,
for sure.
I'd say like Sudden Death is still like definitely my favorite producer, and like he's like I own more of his merch than any artist in my
Nice.
closet right now.
My guy is Subtronics, and everyone who listens to this show knows that.
Yeah,
My guy is
I love
Subtronics.
Subtronics. Like I have, it's like sudden, like the amount of merch goes sudden death and then Subtronics for
Okay,
me.
yeah, dude. Did you buy any of his actual clothing brand? Yeah,
No.
streetwear. No,
No,
dude, that
not
shit's so expensive, but it's so nice.
no. No, I couldn't pay $130 for a pair of pants.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
Not hating on him for dropping it. I'm sure the merch cost a lot.
They look cool. They look cool, but
we just don't.
That's all
like
it's
that.
gonna be. All it's gonna be is looking cool for us.
So trying to figure out your brand. Yeah, I guess just to kind of wrap that up, what would you advise other people, or why do you think it is important to have consistency within your brand, and how would you, or what advice would you give to other people who are trying to figure out what that is for them?
I would say you definitely need a sound that people recognize you by, but also people then go too far and they feel pigeonholed and stuck into making the exact same song over and over again.
Unless you like doing that, unless you specifically enjoy it. Right.
If you really love that, great. Like there's some people, I feel like there's a lot of people that have had a lot of success doing the same exact formula and like making different songs with it every time. And there's a lot of people that have had their own sound that have made different genres and tried to, like, Subtronics, for example, like has actually recently gotten a lot more unique and expansive, and like, but he keeps his like robot sound in there, like he keeps his like space, like robot, like cool futuristic sounds that he has, like whether he was making like rhythm in 2017 or dubstep in 2020, he has all kinds of stuff on his albums that he's dropped over the last few years, like it
still has that piece to it.
The same sound, even if he makes like drum and bass, like it's still going to sound like Subtronics. So I would say, like, if you want to make multiple things, but try to come up with a sound that like brings it all together.
Or like you guys, like an identity even too.
Yeah.
Like somehow, yeah. But I think it is important to also, obviously it's music, have a piece of your music that is like identifiable. Because if someone just throws on the song and it's not on your phone or you're on your computer where you can see the name of it, I know when a Subtronics song comes on, and like obviously I'm a huge fan, but I even know when a Sudden Death song comes on, like it's very recognizable. Yeah.
You just know.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're trying to do now, is like, for a while we're still making multiple genres, but I think if you listen to the album versus if you listen to the stuff we released over like starting like before June of last year, if you look at all that stuff, it's like different genres, but it feels kind of random. And to me, at least, I think the album, I think he did a great job of like, it all has like,
I listened to it right before this and it was very cohesive. So good job.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's just like we're trying to have it so, and I think the album, even though albums for smaller artists isn't usually like the best marketing move, I think we were trying to like say from here on out, like we're gonna put out like a cool project, and it might not get the most streams in the world, but when we like hopefully do big things in the future, people can come back to that before we've released a big project and see like, and like we can cement like this for us.
This is where we were. Right.
This is what our sound is like.
It's almost like documenting through music, which is dope, because you even for your listeners too, it's like when that music comes out, or when I listen to like old Sudden Death songs, it like marks a time in my life, right? Or like for you guys, like you guys are almost instead of like capturing it on video or something, you're writing this music, and it's always going to remind you and your listeners of where you guys started. Yeah.
What you said on it being like cohesive, and I was talking about it trying to
my bad.
The sound. I was gonna say though, like, it's crazy how, because I have a lot of ideas even though I don't make a lot of the music. I texted him about and convinced him to do the album like almost 2 years ago, and so I just like wanted to say, at least publicly, like props to him, because like he did so good on that album. And the crazy thing is, I think it sounds like exactly what I was like dreaming of if my vision came perfectly true when I texted him and I said we should make an album. Like
It was
or
exactly
at
that.
the time it was we still kind of, but like we, whatever. We just put out an album. I like what I was like cinematic, like film score meets EDM DJ, like awesome masterpiece that goes in order from start to finish. Like he created somehow without me even like maybe perfectly saying it. It turned out like exactly how I could have ever dreamed of it being. Like that's literally what I thought of in my head, and somehow it just like and we like I don't even think either of us were that talented then either, and somehow over the last year and a half, it just ended up almost exactly what I had thought of in my head.
That's I know you have history of music and obviously went to school for it and everything, but that's one of as soon as I started hearing you guys' music like pop up on like my release radar and stuff, like these guys are fucking talented, man. So yeah, it was just I'm glad you guys reached out to be on the podcast because I was like, yeah, dude, I literally like I just listened to one of your guys' songs like that day too. So
Yeah,
well, how do you feel about the album on the writer side of it? How do you feel about the work that you did?
Honestly, like I was like a nervous wreck, obviously, before this album came out because it really kind of came together towards the end.
Okay.
You know, at first, oh my god, there was 15 tracks on this album at one point.
Oh man.
it was definitely a little less cohesive too.
It was a little less cohesive for sure. So we had to narrow it down. There was collabs that we had in there that we either couldn't finish or just ended up ditching as a whole. And
or a lot of people that really didn't want to release a collab on a artist that's their size or smaller than them, like which makes sense. But it was a challenge, and like that was a challenge where like I wanted to have fit in everything he made that he wanted, but like I was like having really sitting there trying to convince a lot of people like, can we please put our collab on our album because we think it's gonna be really dope. But understandably, not a lot of people want to throw their song on an album.
You guys still had the what 2 collabs that I know about, at least the one with Dennett. I love his music as well, and then also Danny King. Have had her on the podcast. She's awesome. Yeah. So the collabs that you guys did have were pretty
pretty
cool.
decent.
Yeah,
we were able to get some awesome people on there. Yeah, just it was just tough to like get like all that together, and it came together really at the last minute. Like
it really did, and especially like the intro and the interlude and the outro. Like I made pretty much like
3 or 4 different versions of the intro.
Well, yeah,
damn.
Well, yeah, there were a few different. I forgot.
There were 3 different versions.
There were like
of the
3 different versions of the album intro, but like all of those like intro, interlude, outro stuff that's in the album, I like made probably a month to 2 months before we submitted it for distribution. Like before that, it was like just a shitload of songs. Like we have no idea like how this is gonna do, but when we finalized the track list and we like listened through it. And we finally got like those interludes and stuff all on SoundCloud. We were like, holy shit, this is actually a really good album. Like, what?
Yeah, you guys crushed it. I really enjoyed it. For everyone who is listening to this podcast who hasn't gone and listened to the album, please, I'm going to link it. First link in the description. Please, everyone, go listen to it. You will not regret it. I think one of the songs is even in our playlist. So everyone go stream the album because it's really good.
Please.
Yeah.
Listen from start to finish though.
Yeah, for sure.
It purposefully goes in order from intro to outro.
I would second that because that's how I listen to it. So yeah. Well, I think that was about it. We are getting close to time. I do have a few wrap up questions. Before we do though, what are you guys both most excited or looking forward to most, both maybe in your career and outside of it, just in your personal lives?
Honestly, I have no idea what's coming in terms of
that new album. I feel like you guys are gonna hopefully get some traction off that.
Well, we have stuff planned for the album still. That a lot of
shit.
Now for him it's like fresh start, and for me it's like work on everything that we have.
promotion.
Promote it. But one of those that like is we're gonna do a remix album for it in like a few months, so that should be dope. We got a lot of people on that.
Awesome. I'm
We're
excited to
really
hear that.
excited. There's going to be a bunch of different
Yeah.
remixes on there. Oh my gosh.
There's
Well, if
some,
you guys need anyone for remixes, I have a couple artists that I work with too that might be interested. So
If they can get it done by April 15th, let's do it.
yeah, we
I got
would
you.
love that.
Cool.
We started a while ago, so the deadline's April 15th, but if
Okay.
that's enough time, then we would love.
Yeah,
we would
I'll
love
ask him
it.
when we get off. I'll ask him.
Just send him the album.
We'll talk about more after. Come up with a list, and then I'll
Yeah,
pass it on.
we've already got one.
Sweet. Anything in your personal lives that you guys are looking forward to outside of music album?
I'm about to start a new job at Verizon.
Hell yeah! Congrats. Get that bread.
So
Yeah.
I'm actually taking a pay cut, but I need to leave my job.
Sometimes it's better for your mental health.
Yeah,
sure.
it is.
Yeah. I'm excited to finally stop school for once in my life. I feel like even though I'm going to be working a full-time job still, I feel like stopping school is going to free up a lot of headspace for the
dude, school plus artist project plus full-time. No. Yeah, that's a lot, man.
So plus trying to eat and work out and sleep.
Yeah. Have an actual life too outside of all that. Yeah. Awesome. Last final questions. If there was one piece of advice that you guys could tell yourselves when you first started, this music journey, whether it be on the business or writing side of things, what would it be? I guess individual answers for this.
Oh man, just keep going. There were times. I mean, we never really on the outside we're gonna give up. We've always exuded a lot of confidence in ourselves, and we still do.
Yeah.
But truthfully, in the beginning of any artist project, it's so overwhelming because you're getting into Ableton for the first time and you just don't know anything. And just how am I going to do this? But I along with everyone else have worked my ass off for 3 years at just constantly trying, constantly going, constantly getting better at making music. And I'm just now getting kind of good at it. It's just gonna take a long time, but it's so worth it. So
I think that's what a lot of people underestimate is how much time it actually does take.
It really I've stopped going to festivals. I really don't go to that many shows anymore.
Yep.
I don't really do shit anymore just because I really I'll have waves where I'll go out, but but for the most part, I'm here and I'm
grind mode
ass working on music.
I guess for me, I think I have a lot more specific advice. If I was telling myself, I would say a series of things. First, make the switch we made sooner. I would have gotten obsessed with content, but I wouldn't have necessarily said obsessed with it as in promoting our project right away, because we didn't really have music to promote or anything. But I would have made that switch then. But then instead of worrying about posting content every day like I worry about now and editing the videos, I would say spend a year and a half learning the Adobe suite, learn how to play an instrument so we can use it so I can complement his music with it, or I would have started learning how to play guitar more earlier because I just started and it's actually really fun. So
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully it'll actually be good enough to
turn into something. Yeah.
Use it in the music. But yeah, I would have said learn the Adobe suite right away and spend time learning how to edit videos and use all that software that we having to learn now because at the same time of putting stuff out and playing shows and worrying about all that, because I didn't worry about it right away. We were both just toggling around with music production and all that. I would have said hey, here's three.
At the beginning, you don't really know.
You don't know
is going to move the needle versus what's not. What's important to do versus what's not important to do. What's going to actually have an effect on progression versus not. So it's all trial and error. But I'm glad that you guys have landed on. You now know those things, so now you know what to work on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Final question. that I just kind of started asking everyone, but who are 3 people that you guys would like to see? I know you guys are also listening to the podcast, so who are 3 people that you guys would like to see come on the podcast after you guys?
Well, I always got to shout out our good friend Adam Avello. I mean, he's been there since day one, man. Like, and we've looked up to him for so long.
What's his role? What does he do?
Well, he's an artist. He's
Okay.
Yeah, so we've gotten like small amounts of help from a lot of people, but he's like, if you were to say, have you had any mentors? Like, he's the only like single name that I would say, like, as an artist, like maybe we've had other people in our life, but as like another artist that helped us out, like he's the only person I can think of that I would say mentor. Like, he always gave us honest feedback when we were first starting out. We sucked. We were garbage, and he listened all the way through. Like, we were both making
that's a real one.
Gave us
all the way through, like gave us feedback, like paragraphs of like,
and that's what we wanted. That's the type of feedback we want, not fire track, dude, because like that doesn't help.
Or it's all right, fix this one thing, I guess.
I think I sent our very first ever ID to Riot 10, and he actually answered, and he was like,
from what I know about Riot 10, he actually does.
He's like,
we met him a few times at Myth, and he's super down to earth.
Yeah.
Great.
He goes, yeah, like it sounds like it's going in the right direction. Just, the mixing and mastering.
But that's coming from someone who plays main stage Lost Lance in EDC, so
I know.
But it was not good at all. I think
it was terrible.
Probably just like, these guys look up to me way too much to break their hearts right now.
Yeah.
Come from someone closer to their level.
Sometimes it's almost, depending on how they do it, you don't want to be an asshole, but sometimes breaking someone's heart like that can actually do a little bit of good, though. So
a lot of people told us what was up, and that helped a lot for sure.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast today. Thank you for pitching yourself in. I'm so glad that we were able to make this happen. Thank you so much for everyone else who tuned in. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and drop us a 5-star review if you're listening anywhere else. But I hope everyone has a great week, and thanks again, man.
Thank you.